It's whatever that one thing is that is limiting you, that is keeping you small, that is keeping you from shining, that is keeping you from fully expressing yourself, that is keeping you from really taking this all in. We are materializers. That's the one thing we have in common as human beings. We don't do it for the things. We do it because how we experience ourselves with the thing.
Welcome to Winning the Divine Lottery. I'm your host, Amy Dons.
I am so glad to be here to be able to share with you today, finally, the entire story of one of my testimonials from going to Dr. Joe Dispenza's retreat in Denver, Colorado in July. I have dropped little bits and pieces sort of all over the place, and I never really felt called to share the entire story here, but now I am. I think this is a divine testimonial, and I think the more I share these, whether they come from me or one of my guests, the more it shows you what's possible, the more it shows you how creation really works. And what I love about creation is the people who get it. People like Neville Goddard, Florence Scovel Shinn, Abraham Hicks, Joe Dispenza. This this is the premise of what they teach. And so in his week-long retreat, there was one specific meditation that we were doing, and I was very deep in meditation. And when I say that, I was so deep in nothingness in the quantum field. And when you're in that space, what tends to happen is you're beyond your body, you're beyond your identity, you're beyond your story, and then you receive very often images from the divine, or you receive thoughts from the divine, but they're not from the story of you. And there is one actually compelling image that I've seen more than once in meditation, and this same image showed up, but in a completely new way. I was standing on stage giving a speech, receiving an award. And this time, significantly, I was dressed very differently. I was in like a gown, but it was open in the front, and I was wearing shorts. And all I was saying was, and I wear all the shorts now and all the dresses. And the energy, the vibration, the frequency that I was exuding was the celebration of loving the body that I'm in, and most specifically, loving my legs. Now, the story of Amy prior to this has been inner war around her legs. She grew up hearing this sort of theme in her family that every woman in her family had bamback legs. And I'm speaking about myself in the third person, and you'll understand why in a second. And so she grew up very subconsciously wanting to hide her legs and cover up her legs. But this actually didn't start occurring until she reached puberty, until she went into high school. And then she gained weight, and then she lost weight, and then she gained weight, and then she lost weight, and then she gained weight, and then she lost weight. But one thing kept growing. And that was sort of this body dysmorphia around her legs, that she had these bamback legs, which were her great grandmother's legs. And how she viewed these legs was through legs of a grandmother. And that image was old, wrinkly, saggy. I mean, not all grandmothers have legs like that, but that's the image that started to grow from within her. And it didn't matter how often, when she lost weight or physically transformed her body, subconsciously underneath that, there was still this voice, there was still this program around her legs. And therefore, even if she went through periods where she would wear shorts, where she would wear dresses. They were very, very rare, and she was still very, very alert in like high beta, I better watch out for everybody who might see my legs. Very often she hid them from the men that she dated and was in love with. And so this is the old story of Amy. And in this image, in my meditation in that day, all I felt in that image was like zero fucks to give anymore around my legs. It was like I was experiencing them for what they were, and it was just this beautiful liberation of energy. And so after the retreat, I was actually going to another retreat within a few weeks in Tennessee. And it just so happens that there were quite a few people who were going to this other retreat who also knew of Dr. Joe's work. And one specific person, he's actually been on my podcast, Marvin. Um, I did not know him. He was a complete stranger. He offered to give my friend and I a ride because we were staying in Nashville and where we were going was still a few hours drive. He offered to give us a ride. And so on the ride there, we were passing back and forth our stories and our experience with Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you've ever been a part of his community or go to one of his retreats, you know what I'm talking about. Like once somebody goes to Dr. Joe and you meet another somebody who went to Dr. Joe, I mean, you can have miraculous conversations. And so at one point, I did share a little bit around my legs and also my experience of how I saw myself standing on stage. And this is what I said that I was like, I wear all the dresses and all the shorts now, right? So we get to the retreat. The retreat starts on the evening of the first day. And the next morning, I'm upstairs and I'm speaking with the friend who I went with. And then Marvin, the man that I just mentioned, came and found us. He's like, I need to talk to both of you right away, if that's okay. And I was like, okay. But I could feel like something energetically was about to happen that was pretty huge. And we went out on the patio overlooking the Smoky Mountains. Like it was so gorgeous where we were. And I sit down in a chair, my friend sits down beside me, and Marvin kneels down before me and he begins. Now here's the thing. I can not recall exactly what he said to me, so I am not going to say this word for what he said to me. I'm explaining it from the experience of what I experienced in the moment, how I felt more than what he said. But it was something along the lines of the divine kept him up all night with this, and he knew that he needed to share this with me. And so he began to tell me, okay, I have to back up. See, now that I'm telling the story again, I'm remembering a little bit better. Before I sat down, I was standing, and the minute he started to talk, I could feel this energy in my chest. And he started to share with me that the divine kept him up, and it was around my legs, and how he knew that he needed to gift me this experience of this leg day to pour all this love into my legs. Now, when he started speaking, you guys, all I felt was like this sharp pain in my heart. And I immediately started bawling. I immediately started crying. I could feel this pain in my heart, and I was hearing him speak, but I was feeling his words more than I was hearing him. I knew what he was saying, but in the moment, there was so much energetic exchange happening that that's what I was present to. And what I felt in the moment was all this pain around my legs that I had no idea that I was even carrying in my heart. I was crying it out of me. So much shame, so much, oh my gosh, this man sees me, this man heard me, this man was up by the divine and wants to give me this experience, right? Like it was so surreal that once I did sit down in the chair, I could not even speak. Like I could not compose myself because I was just in the present moments. And he continued to express himself and express what the divine showed him and what he was proposing to me. And he ended up having to leave for a second, and my friend who was with me, I think there was a part of me that was trying to put into words, but I couldn't. And the the wild part about it was is that I just had this image a couple weeks back, at Dr. Joe Dispenza's event. And prior to that, what I was remembering was I was up in my bed one night and I had been single for quite some time. And I couldn't sleep, and I felt like the divine also had me sit up in bed, and I closed my eyes, and I was given another image. And it was an image of my partner who came into my life, and he did not see my legs the way I saw them in that old story and program. He saw my legs like God sees them, like a like my divine lover sees them. And he was pouring so much love into my legs. And I remember having this thought when I was witnessing this and seeing this, that I heard God speak to me and say, He will come. Like this is more real than the program. And in that moment that Marvin was showing me this, I remembered that and I was like, "Oh, well, Marvin's not my partner, but this is so like similar to the experience. The energy, the frequency of what I was feeling is very, very similar." So Marvin ended up coming back out and he basically shared with me that he wanted to give me this leg day at the end of the retreat as we were driving back. He wanted to stop somewhere and take me shopping. Whether it was a pair of shorts or a skirt, he just wanted to give me that experience. And while I was, in these shorts or whatever it ended up being, he was going to just energetically and with his voice pour love into my legs. So I'm letting you know just that experience in and of itself was so profound. So much energy was liberated from my heart. Like it's beyond words. It's really hard to describe because I was the one experiencing it. And we ended up going shopping on the way home. And it's just funny how it all worked out. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but there was like little things that were moving around. We ran into a lot of people from the retreat. Wasn't sure if we were really going to find a store. And my friend that I traveled with wanted to go chat with somebody. And I was like, "Well, what's that store that we looked up? We might as well go to it because it was right by where my friend wanted to go." And we walked in. Okay, first of all, this store is just small. It's a tiny little store. It's a probably just a little bit bigger than this room that I'm recording this in. And we walked in and I looked to the right and there was these white shorts with like tassels. We're in Tennessee, okay? With tassels and they had like silver like little gems on them, so they looked sort of sparkly to me. And I could feel them. Like I could energetically feel them and I walked over to them and I was like, "How are these them?" I'm like, "I think these are them." And I looked all over the store and there was nothing else, you guys. This is the crazy thing. Like out of everything in that little store, and it was pretty jam-packed, there was no, except for some shirts and some hats, there were no other items for like the bottom that drew me in like this. So we picked out the shorts, I picked out some tops, I picked out the hats, I even found this like heart necklace. And I went into the change room and I'll never forget, my other friend wasn't there yet. And I'll never forget walking out and just allowing Marvin to do what he said he was guided to do by the divine. And he literally got down on his knees and energetically started touching my legs and just pouring so much love into them. And my only concern in that moment is that the lady working at the front, I wanted to feel safe. So I didn't want her to like come back and go, what the heck? What the heck is going on here, right? Um, So my friend ended up coming, and you guys, I think by this time, this was actually the embodiment of what I experienced when he first approached me with this idea, right? Because I thought I was going to be way more nervous than I was, because I did try to get out of leg day. I'm telling you, I tried to get out of leg. I'm like, maybe this isn't meant to be. Maybe I'm not supposed to have leg day. And I was a little nervous and a little uncomfortable, but as soon as Marvin started like pouring all this love into me, something switched. It was like a light switch went off. And I started doing this like entourage of these outfits and this skirt. I would just change the top and put on a different hat. And then my other friend ended up coming in, and again, I was just like, make sure the lady at the front doesn't come back here, when you're down on the floor, because who knows what she's going to think that you're doing, right? And so my one friend played the song Confident, and there I was, just shaking my booty, having so much fun. And that's literally what I felt. I felt confident from the inside out. So I go to change, and Marwan's like, no. Like I could feel what he was gonna say, right? Like the whole purpose of this is you have to walk out of here in this outfit. You can't just go and put your old clothes back on. And I totally got it. I was like, okay, I'll do that. 1 second. Mhm. So we go up to the counter and he offers to buy all of the outfits. Talk about an experience in receiving. Raise your hand right now. I'm just taking a moment here. I can't see your hand, but raise your hand right now, or yell yes out loud if you have a hard time receiving. And most likely, if you're listening to this and you have a hard time receiving, it's because you've been a giver your whole life. You're an empath. There's something that's subconsciously in you that you're not allowed to receive back all the love that you pour into other people. This was like that times 1,000. And then, but I was playing along. What happened was my most authentic me got turned on, you guys. And I was like, okay, go out there and video record me coming out of the store. And I was like, Pretty Woman. And I walked out of that store with both bags in my hands, and I was totally owning it. I was totally owning it, and he got me on video, and we ended up seeing the other people from the retreat, and they were just all pouring their love into me, and they were just saying, "Oh, I'm so proud of you, Amy. Look at you. You look so amazing," right? That that transformed me so hugely that the next day we went downtown Nashville, and I was like, I'm wearing this like the whole entire time. I wore that skirt for 8 hours, and I this story continues. It just keeps continuing. Um, I can't tell you how many women came up to me and said, I love your skirt or I love your shorts. They were shorts, but in some ways it looked like a skirt. I received so many compliments. And you know what? It fed my soul because I was like, here I am embodying this woman who I've always been, and I just wasn't allowing her to be here fully in her womanhood, in her body, the way it is, owning it, loving it, appreciating it, not judging it, not shaming it, and then walking around not giving a crap what anybody else thought. And that energy brought in everybody who could feel that complimenting me on this skirt. This isn't where this ends. I knew that the real testament would come when I got back home. Because here's the thing about a familiar environment. It's kind of attached to your familiar old story or programming. And it could be fairly easy to like slip back into that, right? But I just knew, I chose that when I got home, this was continuing. This is who I am. I left that personality, I was going to say in Tennessee, but really it started in Denver. And really it started in my bedroom, right here in this house that I'm sitting in. So I decided the next day, because it was still summer, and I live in Canada, so we have all the seasons. It gets really cold here in the winter sometimes. To start, I I walked in shorts. Now, to some of you, that might be no big deal. To some of you, wearing shorts is no big deal. But I don't want you to listen. I want you to understand like what's your thing? What's the thing that has always been holding you back from fully being liberated in you as you? Because we're not our bodies. That's the thing. But I had an identity around my legs for such a long time. And I started buying shorts. I started ordering dresses. Every time I went out with my friends, I was showing up in a new dress. And they were always like, oh my God, that's so sparkly. I love that. And I didn't care. Did my legs change? No. Did they actually change form? No, you guys. No, 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 no. Nothing has changed visually, aesthetically about my legs. What did change is my personality. I received an upgrade and I decided to let go of that old personality and I stepped into the true version of me, the one who is liberated with my legs. I take them with me everywhere. Why should I hide them? I can't tell you how often I just wanted to. I love walking anyways, but I can't tell you how often I would walk and go, I cannot believe it's taken me this long. I cannot believe I've lived my whole entire life without letting the sun beat on my legs and feel the wind on them. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe all the days when it was hot in the summer that I would wear leggings instead of shorts. It's just like I took back so much of my power and my energy that I was giving to a false program, a version of me that was used there to keep me protected and safe for a part of my life, but it was of no use to me anymore. So I traded it in. So it doesn't matter if this if it's not your legs. Do you know what I mean? It's whatever that one thing is that is limiting you, that is keeping you small, that is keeping you from shining, that is keeping you from fully expressing yourself, that is keeping you from really taking this all in. We are materializers. That's the one thing we have in common as human beings. We don't do it for the things. We do it because how we experience ourselves with the thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? I've said this before. So everything that we want to create in our life or manifest in our life, we actually want to do it because of how we're going to feel, because of how we're going to experience ourselves, because we get to experience another aspect of us. And then we start to realize, whoa, I'm more than I thought I was. I'm way beyond what I thought I was. And there comes a time in your life where you have done the inner work and you understand that it's not about getting things or stuff. Materializing is actually about understanding your God power. It's about source. It's about your connection to love. Because I can tell you the one thing that I gained the most through that whole story that I just shared with you. Four letters. Love. Just a whole new level of love for myself, for everything that I've been through, for believing that I was my legs and that I had to hide them because I don't like the way they look. It's it's wild to me. But that's the journey, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I would not change one little bit of how this unfolded because it wouldn't have led me to Dr. Joe Dispenza. It wouldn't have given me the experience in my bed that night. It wouldn't have given me the mystical experience to know that when I get beyond myself, when I'm in the quantum field, that is when we are connected to source. That's when we are source. There's no separation, then we become everything, everywhere, all at once. And that's when all possibilities exist. And we can allow the divine to show us exactly who we are. And you know what the upgraded version of Amy is? The Amy that I saw on stage represented my higher self. The woman standing there going, I just don't give a fuck anymore. I wear all the dresses and all the shorts. Like I am celebrating who I am being in this body because it's temporary anyway. So I might as well celebrate it. I might as well dress this avatar up the way I want to, the way that delights me and makes me feel amazing about life and how much I love myself. This can be translated in so many ways, but it's all the same. Neville Goddard says, see yourself in the end of the wish fulfilled. That was my wish fulfilled. I thought the old programming Amy thought that I needed to change my legs in order to have that wish fulfilled. This is where most of us get this totally wrong. We get hung up on needing to fix something from the outside in order to feel the end result. No. Neville says, see yourself in the wish fulfilled. And then assume you are that which you wish to be. That's exactly what I saw in that moment. And then I came out of that meditation and I continued to live my life. And guess what? The divine is so much smarter than us. It knew already that I was going to this retreat. So you better damn well believe it knew that it was going to use Marvin as a character in my unfolding of my story. Now I'm speaking from my perspective, right? He has his own. He that was also something completely different for him. That was also a completely creation story for him. So, this is when we talk about everything working out for the greater good, is that we all play these roles in each other's lives. We're the main character, and we're also the other characters in each other's lives because we are totally here. I say this all the time, and I can't say it enough. We are here to walk each other home, and home is into the to the love, to the divine love, to the unconditional love. See, if I would have continued to believe that I had to change my legs in order to feel that way about my legs, I am immediately limiting myself by a condition. That's not love. True, pure love is unconditional. Now, does that mean I can't work on my legs from a place of wanting to feel stronger in them and everything? But there's something really poignant about what I'm saying, you guys, if you really are listening and getting this. What conditions are you placing on your results? What if you could remove all conditions and let the divine deliver it? Because that's its job. Your only job is to overcome you, get into the space beyond yourself, beyond your senses, because your senses and your story come with so many conditions and so many limitations. And all you need is one image one thought that is so clear and has an elevated emotion, that feeling of that wish fulfilled, and it's done. Leave the how up to Howie. That's not your job. I love you. I hope this episode got right into your soul and your heart. And I hope that you know that you are the master of your destiny and you can create anything that you want to create. And the heart's desires, they are real, they are yours. Go create them. I love you.
Thanks so much for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend.